Do you want to have more perfect days? Well, you can design your days to be more what you would like to have, and you can find that out using advice from Spirit. To hear that message, we're going to use tarot today. So all you need to do is pick one of these three piles. Each pile has a special message, and whichever one your intuition pulls you to the most, that is your message. So let's look at each of these cards up close. Whichever one you really resonate with, that is going to be your reading. So pile one is the Two of Pentacles. Pile two is the Death card. Pile three is the Knight of Cups. If you need to, you can pause the video, meditate on each of the cards, but once you're ready, all you need to do is scroll to that part of the video or go down to the description and comments of this video to click the link to go right to your pile. So let's go ahead and get started. Hello, pile one, my Two of Pentacles pile. Let's go ahead and design your perfect day. And we're going to first start with three cards from the Gold Nouveau Tarot deck. Spirit, how can pile one design their perfect day? What do they need to know? The first card is the Three of Swords reversed. This is about avoiding negative emotions and thinking with clarity. The second card is the Knight of Wands reversed. This is about not acting on inspired impulse. And then the third card is the Ten of Pentacles reversed, not acting too far in the future, not planning too far in the future. And so when we put it into context with the Two of Pentacles, which is about handling more than one thing at a time, but specifically small tasks, this is about looking at your week for the week itself and really building a lifestyle based off of habits and things you enjoy doing instead of projecting the perfect version of yourself in the future and trying to design your perfect day around that. Really take a look at what's good for you right now instead of what's good for you in the future or what you're inspired to do. And you'll find that as you correct your habits and you build routines, you actually are going to live more on what inspires you, and you're going to build a life for the future, but you can't design your future day with that in mind. So, to give an example, imagine someone wants to be a novelist. This doesn't mean giving up that goal. It means not looking at the next week with the goal of writing a novel. Instead, and it's not even necessarily breaking down writing a novel into multiple steps, but actually looking at the lifestyle habits and routines that would help that goal actually come to fruition. So maybe writing for an hour every morning. And this really goes to trying to avoid habits and routines that would make you upset, that would help you achieve your future goals, but in the process, as you are living that life, being really miserable. And so that is what you need to do to design your perfect day, habits, routines that you can sustain, that in the moment you find satisfying. So let's pull two cards from the Wisdom of the Oracle. What are some more things that pile one needs to know? What is important here? we have mending. So something is wrong with your current idea of a perfect day. Again, you are focusing too much on the future, but there are things that you need to fix. This goes back to the Three of Swords, where you are trying to avoid heartache, where you're trying to avoid negative emotion. There is some pain in your life, and if you try to pretend that that pain doesn't matter because you are so focused on your future, you're actually not going to be happy. You're not actually going to be able to achieve your goals. This would be like someone who is really depressed after a breakup and decides to focus on immediately finding another partner and pretending that their sorrow over losing their loved one doesn't affect them. But they probably do need to put off dating for a while. They probably do need to watch a few sad movies and listen to some sad songs because they need to express that emotion. They need to process that emotion, and maybe not forever, right? They eventually do need to move on, but they really want to process those emotions. They want to figure out what went wrong and how to avoid it in the future. And I think that is what is being called for here. Right now, you are trying to create habits and routines that address some sort of pain point in your life because you need to work through it. And it's a temporary thing. You're not going to do it forever. Your perfect day now is going to look different from your perfect day in the future. Your next card is a change in the wind. There's going to be an opportunity. I think once you start making those mended changes, once you start seeing the fruit of your good habits and routines, you're going to get an opportunity that you never thought was possible. And I want you to take that opportunity. I want you to throw caution to the wind and have faith in the universe that something good is coming your way. So there is probably some sort of negative perspective you have in the world. And maybe this is why you are trying to manage multiple things at once, multiple projects, multiple careers, multiple people, because you are in pain and you feel trapped and you feel like the perfect vision that you want for your future just isn't possible. So perhaps the perfect vision that you've been hoping for all this time is actually a compromise. But you're going to have an opportunity to expand what you think is possible. So I really want you to take that. But in order to do that, you need to focus on habits and routines. Habits and routines that are about developing skills, addressing immediate needs. Let's pull 3 cards from the Enchanted Map Oracle to figure out what is your pathway to designing the perfect day. What do you need to know? Spirit, what is important? I'm feeling like specifically, these are different variations in your day. Just like there are weekdays, there are weekends, there are holidays. Let's look at the 3 different variations that you need to plan for. Heal the ouch. You need to have a day where you just focus on recovering. When you feel really depressed or when you feel really overwhelmed, what do you do on those days when you need rest and recovery the most? That's going to look different from your more productive days. The second type of day is follow the leader. So you need to have some sort of role model. This role model can be someone that you know in real life. It could be a celebrity or someone that you read a biography about that you really admire, but you need to have someone to model your habits and routines on. Now, this is pretty easy nowadays. You can obviously read a memoir, a biography. You can go on social media and look at what people are doing for their morning routines. You have a lot of options here. And at first, you need to try to follow that model as closely as possible. But once you get comfortable with it, once you get disciplined, you can start modifying it to be more unique and custom to you. And then the third type of day is bone collector. It is about really enjoying your hobbies. It is about really gathering. Think of special days where you are doing something different that you planned, and it's not necessarily going to be as disciplined as this follow the leader type of day, but you are going to have like special routines. Like maybe it is your Sunday night reset, or maybe once a week or once a month you go hiking and you have a very good idea about what that's going to look like. There's going to be some flexibility in it, but again, you need to have some sort of routine for special events. This could also look like holidays or special visits to family and friends, but really start writing down when you need to have special routines that really break your normal habits and is different from your healing days. So these are going to be really defined by the context, a social context, a habit context. This is very heavy on interest. So if you don't have hobbies, you should probably try some out. And if you have some existing hobbies, maybe this is a day where you read a book. You focus on just reading a book that day, and it's not quite a healing day because you're putting effort in it, but it is a specific task you are trying to achieve, and you're trying to create a collection of special interest days. Now let's end with two final cards from the Spellcasting Oracle for anything Spirit wants you to know, in addition to what we covered today about designing your perfect day. Spirit, how can pile 1 design their perfect day? What do they need to know? So, Justice, you need to think about what is right for you. This goes back to you feeling some sort of pain point. You may be treating yourself harshly or unfairly, and maybe what your day is looking like right now is you punishing yourself. This would be like someone who was really wounded by bullying when they were younger, and so they have social anxiety. They're not introverted, but they have social anxiety, so they punish themselves by spending time alone on the weekends. And so, justice for them would be allowing themselves to be out in public, maybe going to the library once a week to read in public and having a conversation with anyone there who looks up to it, maybe the librarian, maybe someone sitting next to them at a table right when they sit down, not when they're in the middle of a book, but right when they sit down, asking them what they're going to read, those sort of things. And be really gentle with yourself, but allow yourself to have what you are denying yourself on a daily basis. And your last card today is truth. You need to be honest with yourself because of your pain and because you are trying to do so many things at once. You are living in an illusion, but this isn't that golden retriever, I'm super positive emotion. This is a illusion where you are lying to yourself, where you are telling yourself it is much worse than it is, that there is no hope. And so I really want you to consider a practice of gratitude. At the beginning of the day, after lunch, at the end of the day, I want you to either say out loud one thing you are thankful for, or you can write it down. It can be really powerful to write it down. And it doesn't have to be super complex, but I do want you to make it focused on something you experienced that day. Maybe you're really thankful for a food you really enjoyed, or maybe somebody smiled at you when you went to the grocery store. But write down at least one thing, and then over time, keep going back to that list, and it will be a reminder that there are little pieces of good in your daily life, and it'll also probably teach you where that opportunity I talked about earlier is going to come from. So, pile 1, it was so exciting to help you design your perfect day. If this resonated with you, be sure to like and subscribe for more. You can also go down into the description and comments of this video for links to my socials to book a private reading or anything else that may interest you. But otherwise, pile one, I am sending you so many blessings. Hello, pile two, the death card. Let's see what you need to do to design your perfect day. The death card means a powerful change. Something in your life needs to end and something new needs to begin. So this is a confirmation that you can't be doing what you're currently doing. You really need to design something new. So let's see what that is. We're going to start by pulling 3 cards from the Golden Art Nouveau Tarot. Spirit, what does pile 2 need to change? And what sort of new thing do they need to do? Let's pull 2 cards actually. The old. So you weren't making progress on something. You were really stalled and you were probably stuck between 2 different options, and instead of pursuing one, you just stayed where you were. The new thing you need to do, the 8 of Pentacles reversed. You need to stop being a perfectionist. You want to manifest something in its perfect manifestation, and that's not something you should do. So let's pull a clarifying card for some additional context from this tarot deck. We have the Star card, which is fate. You are definitely fighting against fate. You are listening to your heart. And the Death card is also a card of spiritual transformation. So this is a sign that you are really torn between what you should do and what you want to do. What you want to do is a reflection of your fate, what you're supposed to do. Now, it may take a slightly different form, but you need to trust yourself. What you are yearning for, you need to start reaching for it in your day-to-day life. So really consider, after this reading, ask yourself, what would your perfect day look like if you had no obstacles? Really write it down from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. That way, you will have an idea of what you want. For example, sometimes people think that they need to focus only on their art, but when they actually consider their perfect day, they realize they love to socialize, and they actually do need to include time for family and friends, pets, and all of those things. And sometimes there's the opposite lifestyle where someone thinks that, oh, they just want to fall in love and have kids, but actually they want to have some time for their hobbies or their creative passions. And so really writing out your perfect day is going to help you to design a practical day to help you reach that vision a lot sooner. But you have to accept that what you feel you must do is different from what you want to do, and your fate. That is quite different. So let's go ahead and pull 2 cards from the Wisdom of the Oracle for more information on this. Spirit, what is some more information? What would you like pile 2 to know? Your first card is Orphaned. Let's see what the context of this is. And then we have Imagine. So with these 2 cards, what I think I am seeing is that you let go of some vision you had for your life. You just orphaned it from yourself, and you don't believe that it is possible to reach. And because you don't believe it's possible to reach, you aren't imagining things. People sometimes pursue their life again based on what they must do or should do, and they look at all the practical ways to manifest that. And that is one way to live a life. But if you don't have a dream, You can't make your life reflect your individual concerns. Let's not use a high and mighty example. Let's say someone is a construction worker and they had a very simple dream to have a beautiful shed in their backyard, but they kept putting it off. They thought it wasn't possible because they didn't believe that they had the right to have this shed in their backyard. It was too uppity. It was it would look weird that they'd be the only house in the neighborhood with this shed, and so they don't do it. And so they stop imagining a life where they can have that shed in their life. They start to think, oh, well, every yard in the neighborhood has to look a certain way, including my backyard. And this is what is happening to you. You are letting desires for your life die, and you aren't even imagining in your mind that what you want could exist. You are trying to fit into the stereotypes and classifications of people around you. But there is something unique about you. There's something unique about the way you live your day-to-day life that is going to look different from the people around you. And that construction worker, they have the skills to build a shed, or they have the connections to hire someone to help them build the shed. But if they don't imagine they have the right to build that shed, they won't call upon something that they actually have the ability to do. And that is the case here. You aren't imagining something that is completely unrelated to you. It is part of your fate. It is what the universe and spirit wants to see you make. But you are telling yourself no. I want you to tell yourself yes. And part of this is choosing to do throughout the day things of your own free will. So instead of specifically designing a perfect day for yourself, tomorrow I want you to wake up, or on the weekend if you need to do a day off because you work, I want you to not follow a schedule, not have a to-do list, but instead have a to-done list. And as you go through the day, write down what you did and when, and make sure that what you write down and what you do are mostly things that you really, really wanted to do. And then at the end of the day, ask yourself, how is this perfect day of everything you want to do different from your ordinary days? Because that might enlighten you. Maybe you think that you have to read really hard books, but when you have a day off, all you want to do is watch TV. That's perfectly fine. People have different hobbies, but that is something that you're doing. You are designing your days around a life you don't want to live, and that needs to die so your true self can be reborn. And part of this is letting yourself dream on a day-to-day basis of what you would like your life to actually look like. So let's pull 3 cards from the Enchanted Map Oracle to see a little bit more specifically what 3 types of days should you consider living out. After you do that exercise where you live a day solely based off of your whims and your desires in the moment. Let's get some enlightenment here. So example day 1, we have spark, creativity, doing things based off of how you are inspired to act. So if you are someone who's very busy and you have very limited time, one thing you can do is on the Notes app on your phone or in a little notebook, write down any ideas that come to you. Even if you have a lot of ideas and you're never actually going to be able to get to all of them, but write down your ideas. Whether it is a Broadway play, a Broadway musical, or it is a 7-season fantasy epic, or maybe it is going to Kenya. Whatever idea that you have that comes to you throughout the day, write it down, because you need to have a day where you use that as a bucket list and you say, what from this list do I want to act on today? And it could be something as simple as planning your trip to Kenya, or it could be writing episode 2 of your TV show, and even if it can't be made, you won't know until you try it out, because part of this is making the choice to do what you want to do, and the more you do it, the closer you are going to get to a life where those inspirations actually do manifest in a way that is important to you. The second type of day, we have commitment, and we have the star here making me think of fate. So you are probably a very responsible, busy person. You probably have pre-existing goals, some of which you care about, some of which you have to tend to, and you need to have a day in your mind where most of what you're doing is tending to your commitments. And one productivity tool that may help you is to theme your days. Some people, they will on Mondays only focus on certain type of housework, or if they're self-employed, maybe they're just doing admin that day. And then on Wednesday, that is the day they go do errands. But you see the point. You look at your days and you give them a theme. You need to have, for one of those days, a theme where you just do your commitments, where you put your full effort into those commitments and you try to get as much of them done. That way you can have whole afternoons or whole days where you can just focus on knocking off things on your bucket list that you want to try. You'll have more time to do so, more hours to do so, than if you try to spread all your commitments out to every single day of the week. And then the third type of day is deep freeze. You need a day where you do absolutely nothing, not even creative work. You need to be able to just sit on the couch, veg out, watch TV, really let your mind take a break, because I think you overwhelm yourself. And I think you will benefit from having those really committed days, but you also need at least one day a week where you do absolutely nothing, sort of like that practice day that we talked about before, where you just do in the moment everything you want to do. That's something you could do, but you could also just have a deep freeze day where you just relax. You don't have any expectations of yourself. You don't push yourself to do anything from this list. You just enjoy leisure and just take a rest. So that's really important for you. The last thing I want to do today is pull 2 cards from the Spellcasting Oracle for anything else that Spirit wants you to know about designing your day. Spirit, what else does pile 2 need to know about designing their day? What would really help them to know? Your first card is love. You need reminders of love and relationships. Relationships are really important. In your spread, I see a lot of ego, a lot of achievement, and a lot of ambition. That's great. You should have those things. But a lot of the research is pretty clear that whether you are rich or poor, successful or not successful, what truly makes someone happy is having relationships. And this can be a significant other that you are romantically attached to. It can be family members, it could be friends, it can be a connection to a community or a hobby group, but you need at least 1 to 3 deep relationships that really make you feel loved and cared for as a person. That's something you need to cultivate, and that's something you need to include in your day. It's easier if you live with these people, but if you don't currently live with these people, what you can do is start a group chat, start a text messaging, call them. You could write a letter, you could meet them, but really think according to a schedule or a rotation how you are going to meet these people often. Show them that you love them, allow them to love you, because you need reminders that you are someone with value and dignity, and that comes from your relationships. Your last card today is clarity. Although it is a good idea for you to have those days, those deep freeze days where you don't have any expectations of yourself, you need to set intentions. You need to decide before you really get going in the day, what sort of day is it going to be? Is it going to be a day where you pursue the things off your bucket list? Is it going to be a commitment day? Or is it going to be a day where you relax? And of course, sometimes you're going to break these days in half, where half of the day is a commitment day and the other half is a deep freeze day. That's fine, but you need to plan ahead of time what you intend to do. That way, when you are in that day, you can just accept that's what's going to happen. You can just accept it's going to be a work day or it's just going to be a rest day. And then it'll give you a lot of relief because you know what sort of mind frame you need to be in and you know what to expect from yourself. You know when to expect yourself to be a hard worker and when to expect nothing from yourself because you need a break. But pile two, I really like your spread today. It seems like you are a really important person who's going to achieve something in life, but be aware that Spirit wants you to pull back and really consider what matters to you. Otherwise, if this reading resonated with you, be sure to like and subscribe for more. You can also go into the description and comments of this video to go to the links for my socials, my Ko-Fi to book a private reading. But otherwise, pile two, I am sending you so many blessings. Hello, pile three, my Knight of Cups pile. Let's figure out how you can design your perfect day. Your card is about having a slow life, doing things that matter to you, really putting romance, as in intense emotions, really connecting emotionally to your day. That is what you need to do. So let's find out the details surrounding that. It is a particular lifestyle, but let's see if it needs to be applied in a unique way. So first we're going to pull 3 cards from the Golden Art Nouveau Tarot deck. If you're curious about slow living or romanticizing your life, using those search terms will bring up more information about this, but let's get into your individual essence here. All right, Spirit, your first card is the 10 of Swords reversed. This is about recovering from burnout. So I've noticed a lot of people who are into slow living, romanticizing their life, really push themselves too far. They may have been involved with hustle culture, trying to be really ambitious, and it turns out it wasn't what they wanted. They really wanted a life of hobbies, of interest, and really just enjoying leisure. And I think that's the case for you. For you to design your perfect day, you need to accept that you pushed yourself too far. That doesn't mean you weren't capable. You may have achieved a lot, but you do need to pare things back. You do need to really slow down. It's not making you happy to push yourself too far. The next card is the 5 of Wands. You do like to have a little bit of competition, and that may have been what pushed you to do hustle culture, to have ambitions. And I think you do like to win. I think you do like to feel that chemistry with other people. But there's a cost to this. There is the cost of making enemies. There's the cost of, even when you're friendly with coworkers, you're always trying to win over them. And I think you're starting to see the value in maybe pursuing that competition through fun things, through sports, through some sort of hobbies like chess or board games where the competition is friendly rather than relating to life or death when it comes to the economy, your work, all of those sort of things. You want to be competitive, you want to be playful, but in a way that doesn't make you a nemesis, essentially. Because I think you do tend to attract people that are mean to you maybe because they perceive that you're better than them or they think of you as a threat. And so this may explain why you've had some frustrating connections in the past. It is because people don't want to compete with you. And I think what you need is to have a lifestyle where you aren't competing all the time. You aren't fighting with people all the time. It isn't all win or lose. The next card is the Ten of Cups, emotional fulfillment. The most important quality to the average person's happiness is relationships. Having a family, getting married, having kids, those are all good. If you don't want to have a family, you don't have to. You can focus on friendships. If you don't want to have a romantic partner, family, friendships, your connection to the community, people that you have interests with in common that you really make a bond with, that's fine. But you need to really focus on relationships more. It needs to be a major factor in your daily life. And it doesn't have to be a lot of people. Apparently, the research shows that 1 to 3 deep relationships are really all you need, and they become your support system. You become their support system, and it's really emotionally fulfilling. And it really works with the slow lifestyle because you can have meals together, you can relax together, you can feel safe and at ease together. Let's pull 2 cards from the Wisdom of the Oracle for some more context. What else does pile 3 need to know? What is important? Your next card is Treasure Island. Now, this isn't necessarily about being rich. If you are someone who has already made a lot of money, you're financially stable, or you have some sort of nest egg, this could be a sign that perhaps you should sell your property, move to a lower cost of living area, maybe have a remote job. That's something you can do, slow things down, be in a peaceful place. But this could also be a sign of living in a location that feels like an adventure. Slow living isn't just about being lazy all day. It is about really enjoying life in the moment. And for some people, that could be hiking trails every weekend. Maybe they do some extreme sports, stuff like that. But the point is that your location serves as your way to have a slower, more meaningful life where you have experiences. So really think about where you want to live, what would actually help you live the best life possible, and how would you afford it? Do you sell your current home, you cash out some stocks? That's going to be possible. I think that is the case for some of the people who chose this pile. If you don't have that yet, or you're starting out your career, maybe you arrange your life not to be high powered in business, and instead you ask yourself, what job can I do where I'm not working 50, 60, 80 hours a week? That way I can go home, I can relax, all of those sort of things. Think about how you can live abundantly and where that would take place. Your next card is Fork in the Road. I don't think I've pulled this card in the few years I've had this deck. So this is about understanding right now, today, is the moment where you need to ask yourself, are you going to live an ambitious life, or are you going to live a life of meaning that is found in the everyday? And it is okay to have ambition, but I want you to consider if in your pursuit of achieving your goals, you are sacrificing your happiness on a day-to-day basis. Now, some people are willing to do this. I usually only see this with parents who are sacrificing for their children, but sometimes you see it with people who feel like they are fulfilling a great cause. They're trying to cure cancer, something like that. So all the daily sacrifices they make, they're not having this perfect day every day, but they are trying to achieve something. But the people who don't have those two qualities, who don't have people relying on them, they tend to be miserable if they just focus on their ambitions, because even if they achieve it, they tend to find it's hollow because all they were working for was money, reputation, or success. And you eventually just find that boring after a while. And work, you don't live to work, you work to live. And if there is a point where you can slow down the work you're doing, you need to do so. And that means not being overly ambitious. And so this is Spirit telling you, you are being ambitious to the point that you are going to make yourself miserable. You need to pare things back. So let's look at the 3 types of days to really focus on in your life, because we have weekdays, we have weekends, we have special days. I want to see what are the different types of days you should be designing specifically in accordance to these general themes. So what are these 3 days? Spirit, what are these 3 types of days? What should pile 3 do to have a better life? Your first card is home. You need to have a day where you just spend time at home, where you make the decision not to leave and you just enjoy the comfort of your home. Now, this can extend to your yard. Maybe you walk around the neighborhood, maybe you walk around the countryside. But the point is that you feel comfortable, you feel safe, you just enjoy being close to where your heart is, where your home is, where your heart is. And so this means really creating a place where you would be happy to spend 24 hours there uninterrupted. And for some of you, this means really taking a look at your house. Have you not been designing it in a way that makes you feel cozy? Have you designed it to be for other people? One thing that you'll notice when you go into other people's houses is the way they decorate. Sometimes they decorate for themselves, and sometimes they decorate it for who sees it, when visitors arrive. And the houses that are designed for visitors' comfort tend to be empty, boring, soulless. You don't want that type of house. I want you, after the end of this reading, to look around your room or look around your house and ask yourself, have you designed this space to make other people happy instead of yourself? If that's the case, you need to change it. And that could be something you do on your home days. A lot of people garden on their home days. They make it nicer every day that they're having a home day. So do something similar, whether it is gardening. That's another thing that people do in the slow life. Maybe it's cooking. Maybe it is doing a cleaning reset day. There are a lot of options. Pick the one that makes you comfortable. The second type of day is encouragement. This goes back to the 10 of Cups card and really being connected to other people. So one thing that makes people happy when it comes to relationships is doing something for other people. Charity is a really good example of this. If you do something nice for other people, even if you don't know them personally, you tend to get this giver's high. But you don't have to be nice to strangers to benefit from that. You can look around and ask yourself, how can I really help out my family members, my friends? Could I do the dishes? Could I help clean up the space? Could I do an errand for them? Or for people that you don't live with, maybe you think about what sort of gift you're going to get for their birthday and really put a lot of thought in it. Or if you know someone is going through a hard time, really holding space for them and being there for them, but really encouraging people and being there for them. And maybe making that a focus of one of your days, to where every Friday, you know you are going to spend a few hours socializing. Maybe that's calling somebody, maybe that's going for a meal with them, maybe it is texting them on your phone, but really make a day where you know you are going to focus on other people. That is very crucial for you. And planning a specific day around that will really help you prioritize your relationships. And then the third type of day is spirit of place. So actually, we have home and spirit of place. So this tends to happen more for people who live in the countryside, but I'm going to use a countryside and city example for those of you who live in the city. When you have a pride of place of where you're from, you like to go and visit these places. You like to go to parks, to museums. You like to feel connected. And a lot of people believe that there are spirits that reside in these places. And if you really pay attention to those places, you visit those places, you respect those places, you develop a spiritual bond with that spirit of place. For example, you go to a park and you just feel oddly connected to a particular tree. And every time you visit that park, you have to touch the tree. And that is you interacting with the spirit of place. You need a day each week, or maybe once or twice a month, where you go to a place where you have that feeling. Nature is a good example of this, but if you live in a city, you might find that this is a little bit hard because there's a lot of people around you, but ask yourself, what type of place would really connect with you? Would it be an art museum? Is it a particular hot dog stall? Like, you don't have to be like elegant here. Really think about what would make your life beneficial, because if you focus on your comforts, if you focus on your personal connection, you are going to interact with that spirit of place. And sometimes that spirit of place is manifest in the people that work there or go there. It could be the workers, it could be the people who visit, and it gives you a social element, a spiritual element, and I really encourage you to have that day where you go to places and you just feel spiritually connected. That is absolutely crucial for you. So the last thing we're going to do is pull 2 cards from the Spellcasting Oracle. And this is to figure out anything else that you need to know about designing your perfect day. Spirit, what are some final messages for pile 3? What would you like pile 3 to know? The first card is lighten your load. You are doing too much. And let's say that you did start living this slower life, this romanticized life. If you do research on this, you'll notice that a lot of people will start baking their own bread, maybe milling their own flour for that bread. And that can be really cool if you like doing that. But sometimes in the pursuit of a slower lifestyle, people make things hard for themselves. And part of this is people are trying to fill up their days with tasks. They don't want any silence. They don't want hands that aren't doing something. And so what I specifically want you to do is to develop a habit of prayer or meditation or just sitting in silence where you do nothing. Now, I believe the most research-backed minimum viable amount of time you should do this is about 10 minutes. But as long as you do at least a few minutes consistently every day, you are lightening your mental load. But try to get at least 10 minutes. 10 minutes where you know you don't have to do anything. You don't have to listen to anything. You don't have to have your hands busy with anything. Trust me, it is going to do wonders for your mind. It's going to activate your default mode network, help you be in a flow state, help connections in your brain. Do it every day, ideally at the same time of day. Experiment until you find the way to make it work. The last card is talent. You have a skill. A lot of people interested in the slow lifestyle and romanticizing their life are really interested in creative hobbies. More creative than like sports or anything like that, but you have a particular talent or a desire to develop talents that you need to focus on. So try to set aside at least 30 minutes a day where you pursue a talent or from a list of talents you would like to cultivate. It is so important for you. It is it's skill based, so it's not about achieving something. Remember that. It is about doing the thing. So instead of having a talent goal, for example, of writing a novel, maybe it is writing 2 pages every day after lunch, something like that, something where you are improving on your talent, but it is focused to a particular time of day, and there's not an achievement context, it is a doing context. It could be if you were doing needlepoint, 30 minutes of needlepoint. It could be 30 minutes of walking, whatever it is you want to do. Make it time based or an iteration based, like 2 pages, something like that. Super important. It's going to really improve your life. So, pile 3, that is what I have for you today. I am wishing you the best on designing your perfect day. If this reading resonated with you, be sure to like and subscribe for more. You can also go into the description and comments of this video for links to my socials, my Ko-Fi, to book a private reading. That's available too. Otherwise, I am sending you so many blessings.